Hello everyone and welcome to the Bearded Geeks, the weekly grab bag of topics covering movies, comics, video games and TV. My name is Jags, I am the Beard Master. With me today, my co-host, the Bearded Mountain, Bobby Baxter!
What's up?
Where you going?
Where am I going?
I don't know, what did I say?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah, good. Bobby, we got a co-host, a guest beard, in the Beard Cave today.
Yeah, with a beard. Kinda.
Hey, thanks guys.
Stand-up comedian, Mr. Doug Schindler.
I'm feeling a little outbearded here though, guys. It's 22 years to get this one going.
It's not really a prerequisite to have a beard on the show. Like, if you're a guest beard, that's okay, but a guest beard, it's just it's a formal title. That's a formal title. How are you, mate? Thanks for coming on. You're looking well.
I am looking well. I don't know, I was just telling you guys before, I've lost 10 kilos of cocaine.
Oh, shit.
So if you happen to see any South Americans coming around your way, just point them the other
way. Bob, do we have any South Americans that listen to this show?
No, what?
See?
What's that on the end of your nose, Bob?
Nothing.
See, Espanol?
So how are you, mate? Stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy. That's
you love it?
I do. I wish I could sit down a bit now and then during it, but it's good fun. I've been doing it about a year and a half, so
yeah,
having a lot of fun with it.
What's the appeal? What's the appeal of stand-up comedy for you? I just find that I'm naturally funny, but I couldn't stand up on stage in front of people. And Bobby, you've just got a funny head, which works in your favour. Yeah, what was the appeal of stand-up comedy for you?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I do get asked it a lot. I've always been a fan of stand-up comedy. You know, hitting back on that old growing up with it and watching stand-up comedians like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah.
You know, watching their movies as well as their stand-up comedy.
Coming to America,
48 Hours. You know, See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Those sort of movies are the first sort of movies I started to watch and really sort of get that humor. So I've always been a fan, and probably in halfway through 2016, I caught up with a mate and he said, "Oh, why don't you come to this stand-up comedy thing in at St. John's Craft Beer called Crash Test Funnies?" And I was like, "Oh," I went along and I didn't even really know I honestly didn't really feel or know that there was a stand-up comedy scene in Launceston, let alone Tasmania. Like, I knew there were some Tasmanian comedians that have gone on to bigger things, such as Luke McGregor and Hannah Gadsby and stuff like that. But I just didn't know about this scene. So I went along and someone made the fleeting comment, if you've ever wanted to give it a go, then, you know, hey, go see the organizer, see what can happen. So I thought, you know, I might give it a crack.
Give it a red hot crack?
Yeah, so October of that year, I got up, did my first set, and I haven't looked back since.
Awesome. So did you have any kind of material you've kind of been secretly working on before that, or
no?
Or you just had to be like, okay, I've got a fucking show to put together now.
Or you're just like a naturally witty guy.
Well, I don't know, because I watched my I watched my very first set again the other day for the first time in a long time, and it sucked. It's like, you know, but I think people laughed and they supported, and I think that's the great thing about the community as well. It's quite supportive, and then once you start to sort of, you know, tweak it and get a feel of what's funny or what you feel might be funny, then you just start thinking with a comedian perspective and everything's funny. Like, you know, this old lady fell over the other day. I didn't help her. I just laughed and said, "There's a joke in that." So, you know, I look like a real prick, but I got my notepad out and I'm like, yeah, old lady falling. But yeah, I think I made jokes, you know, that my workmates called me Harambe and stuff like that while I was looking. So, you know, so no, it was a good set. Like, I think it's a memorable one for my first one, but I think my comedy's certainly come a lot further since that day. So, but it's only been a year and a half, so I've got a lot to go, you know. So.
But you're gigging quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to do, you know, the biggest thing that a lot of people have said to me is that, you know, getting up as much as you can, as often as you can, is only going to bring experience, so you can experience everything. Like, I feel still at this stage same
thing in the bedroom.
So that's it.
So I should try it.
Yeah.
You've been told to tone things down in the bedroom by a fucking osteopath.
My osteopath told me to tone things down in the bedroom because I keep hurting my back.
So, lay down comedy. So, you know, different things. Every time you do a show, something's different, you know. Whether it's the light, you know, whether it's the stage, whether it's the element of the crowd, you know, whether it's following a really good comedian or following a comedian that's just bombed, you know, so there's so many different elements. And you see these guys like that have done, you know, 10 years of it, and you think these guys are just a natural. I don't think they're just natural. I think they've just experienced every element and know how to deal with it. So, you know, so you get this
thicker skin.
Yeah, you got this guy that might throw out a heckle, you know, and they just respond to it like that. You know, it's because nothing's new to them. Not really. Not after doing. Some of these guys are doing 400 shows a year. You know, there's only 365 days in the year, so they're doing over a show a day. And
I heard Chris Rock say something similar to that. Like in an interview I watched with him not long ago, and he was sort of saying, like, you know, I think he was talking to Marin about it, and he was like, do you ever go up on stage and think, you know, tonight's going to be fucked or whatever? And he's like, dude, I've been doing this for longer than I can remember. Like, there's nothing that I can't turn things around with now, because he knows everything. Like, he knows how to deal with every situation now. Like, he's seen so many assholes and so many great people in his life that he can, like, switch a heckler around or...
Exactly, you know. And I remember the very first time that I got on a stage, it had a really good spotlight. I couldn't see the crowd. And that was very daunting for me, because the first few shows I ever did, I could see the crowd. So you could see their faces, and I kind of got familiar with that. And then all of a sudden, when you get on a stage where the light's exactly how it's supposed to be, so, and then you can't see the crowd, all of a sudden I was just taken back. Now I know that if I get on a stage and I can't see the crowd, I'm already half prepared for that. So these are just, you know, just a slight example of, you know, experience will get you better and better. So, but yeah, I think, you know, anyone that's wants to start out in comedy, just keep doing it as much as you can. Just keep doing shows. It's a lot of fun. And the guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, men, whoever, you know, that you're doing it with, they're also just as much good fun. So, you know, it's always not short of a beverage or two around the comedy scene. So
it does seem, I went to a Crash Test Funnies a couple of months ago at St. John, and the scene is really cool here. Like, they're very welcoming to everyone, and, you know,
Crash Test especially, you know, which was it's actually finished now. So Andy, who ran Crash Test, who started it, I think at Shots on Wax a few years back, was running Crash Test, and then he's decided to pull the plug on it. It is still going to sort of be going in a new format, I think, called Crafty Comedy. I think the new first one's on April 5, if I'm right, at St. John still. But yeah, it's a safe place. It's created to be a safe room. So there was a young lad not long ago who got up and he just forgot his jokes, like his first jokes. And he just sort of like was just stopped. And I thought it was really good. The crowd was really supportive, and, you know, because otherwise, especially in a town that has a limited scene, you can't sort of like, you know, you don't want to be pushing people away from the scene. If they're
you
keen
don't want to
on
stifle
it,
that,
you know, if they're keen on it, then, you know, look, it's going to happen. You know, I've been on stage and forgotten jokes before. It's not a good feeling, but, you know, it's a part of comedy, you know.
Have you ever, like, totally frozen before, or are you just kind of, are you good at rolling on?
I totally really botched a gig in Hobart once, the night before I was supporting Nick Cody up here at Fresh Comedy. That Nick Cody night went really well, but then it sent me on edge, because I was like, you know, I'd just gone down and did this night in Hobart and lost 3 jokes on stage, and literally got to a point where, you know, they always say don't let the audience into what you're thinking. And I just got to a point where I had to be completely honest that, guys, I've just fucking forgot my jokes. Like, you know, so it's what it is. But I think that's the only time that's ever really happened to date. So touch wood, it doesn't happen too often, but it's going to happen, especially in new material nights and stuff like that. So, but no, you guys going to give it a go?
I think we get enough comedy here on the show. Just for our natural buffoonery.
I've always been interested in the idea, but I'm not a performer in that. Like, I don't think I could deliver a funny story. I could write a funny story fine. I mean, I kind of do it with my job. I'm like, work sometimes as a storyboard artist. So I've got to come up with like gags for cartoons and jokes and that kind of thing. And I know how to do that. Like, I know how comedy works in that sense, but delivering it on stage, I don't think I've got the right charisma or like stage presence kind of thing.
I mean, like, you know, things like this crafty comedy and stuff, you know, is definitely, you know, if you ever want to just have a one-time shot at it, you know, put 5 minutes of a few jokes together and have a go. One of our good mutual friends, old Russell Redman. He's got up. He's done 3 or 4 sets now.
He's a
I've
fucking
seen him,
freak, though.
Yeah.
That was his first night at that Crash Test Funnies that I went to, and he fucking killed the room. Like he just, he just annihilated it, and that was his first show, and everyone just went, "Get fucked."
Yeah, he's a very funny man.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
he's great.
yeah. Now, you're off to the Melbourne International Comedy Festival next week.
I am. I'm off to a series of shows for a show called Heads of Plenty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on at the Imperial Hotel every Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays during the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Starts at 3:45. Look me up on Instagram or Facebook and click on the link in the bio for tickets. But yeah, so I'm really happy to be a part of that this year. I did a guest spot last year and managed to somehow weasel my way into it this year. So no, look, I think one of the guys was sort of deciding to give up comedy. So I sort of hit him up and said, look, hey, look, I'm really keen. I don't care that I live in Tassie. I'll fly across. I'll do the shows. I'm just keen to get on the stage as much as I can. But doing with that one, being a part of the comedy festival officially for the first time is pretty exciting. Not just for the shows. I'm doing a few other little surprise shows here and there. Networking, rubbing shoulders with, other comedians. It's just going to be a massive 10 days for me. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
bit like Comic-Con.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It'll be over before you know it. It's just like, it'll fucking, like, that's what Comic-Con was for us. It was like a whirlwind, and then you get to the other end and go, did I actually do any networking then, or what?
That's mad. One of my dreams is to get to a Comic-Con, so.
Yeah, they're good fun.
Now, Bob, seeing as we got a stand-up comedian in the Beer Cave today, I thought we should do an episode on comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Because we haven't done an episode on comedy yet. So today, I think we're just going to do broad spectrum. So we'll just talk about comedy films, actors, stand-up comedians turn actors, and all that sort of stuff. We'll just wing it. We'll have a good time.
Fuck yeah. All right.
Now, Bob, you and I both watch Annihilation.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want
Not a comedy.
Not a comedy. Definitely not many laughs in that film.
Segue off of that topic straight away.
And you said you weren't funny.
What did you think of Annihilation? I want you to start, and then I'll just follow you.
There was a bit of a hype train that fucking followed with that movie.
Massive hype train. You were talking about it last week.
Yeah,
Your feed just blew up.
Yeah, my Facey feed just went nuts, and because I've got a lot of nerds who are friends with me on Facey.
Yeah.
And so, when a movie like that drops, everyone starts talking about it, and my feed's full of like, this is the best sci-fi in 10 years, this is the best thing, I love this, oh. And I was sort of going, well, fuck, I'm really keen to fucking see this movie now.
Get on the hype train.
Got on it, and I watched it and didn't hate it, but I wasn't like particularly blown away like I thought I'd be, sort of. So
I didn't have to pick myself up off the floor afterwards. I was just sitting comfortably on the couch.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Like, it's pretty good.
I did too.
But
yeah.
I think there are definitely better sci-fi movies in the last few years that have trumped that for sure.
I quite liked the last half hour. I liked the first 10 to 15 minutes, but just sort of everything in between, I was just like...
It's a slow burn movie.
Yeah, it was very slow burn.
Yeah.
It was very slow burn. The thing I've noticed about all these films, like we talked about this last week, about, movies being sold to Netflix, Mute, Cloverfield Paradox, Annihilation. We just found out the Titan's been sold to Netflix, the new Sam Worthington flick. That's going to be on Netflix, a Netflix original. It's not like, say... a Black Panther, for example. A movie hits the cinema, and it's this big, phenomenon, because it's playing at the cinema, for ages. It's this big thing. Everyone's talking about it. I went and saw Black Panther 5 or 6 times. I saw it this. A movie comes along like Annihilation. It's on Netflix. You've been looking forward to. Everybody watches it in 2 or 3 days. Your Facebook feed blows up, but then after a week, everyone's forgotten about it. We've moved on.
And they'll probably only ever watch it once.
Yeah,
because it's on Netflix. Like no one goes back through their Netflix thing and goes watch.
And rewatches something. Yeah,
no.
Except for me, the other day I watched What We Do in the Shadows twice last week. We'll talk about that a bit later because that's a funny movie.
Yeah. I'm still on the Black Panther train. So,
Are you really? Have you seen Black Panther?
Yeah, I have. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I think it resonated with me a little bit about, from a different angle to a lot of people. I thought being seeing a colored hero was really, I was really sort of proud about that. I'm not African American, but I just think that, when American movies will make Ant-Man before Black Panther, it's like, that's like, are they getting to the end of the movies they can make before they have to make this movie? Because, the Marvel comics and stuff like that. Like, so it was really good to just see this like actual, black superhero just absolutely caning it. And it was a great movie, great special effects. I'll be on the Black Panther train for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
I still haven't seen it yet, but
No, I think you're going to get the home release, aren't you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The extended 3D
I can't get to
edition.
the cinema as much as I'd like to anymore, but
Yeah, we were talking just before when we were grabbing dinner maybe about seeing Shape of Water this weekend. I think I'm definitely going.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll see if I can like sneak you in as well.
It's
I'll just be like, Haley, can I borrow him for 2 hours?
it's a roll of
I'll
the
bring him
dice.
home later.
Manchester needs a gold class.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But I'm happy now that we've just got 2 different cinemas. So I can go to the cinema chain like I'm planning to. I was planning to today to go see Pacific Rim, but I didn't end up seeing it today for reasons. But but like I can go to the Star, kind of like the Astor Theatre, and watch, The Wizard of Oz. Or they were on Facebook the other day and they were like, we've got our Easter festival coming up. What classic film or cult film would you like to see? Throw down some suggestions and we'll see what hits and
Back
see
to the
what we can
Future.
get. Yeah, Back to the Future.
fuck yeah.
But everyone was on there like, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do a Rocky Horror sing-along as well, because they did sing-along screenings for The Greatest Showman. And apparently they were a hit, like over there
Really?
at the Star. So everyone's like, yeah, Rocky Horror. And I was just like the second guy that got on there and like, 2001's going to be like celebrating its 50th anniversary around that time. Maybe 2001 A Space Odyssey. Don't you think that fits?
I went to the
Everyone's
Lion
like,
King
no.
the other day.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had the Lion King back. They're doing a Disney sort of special
Oh, that's a Village.
at Village. Yeah,
Yeah.
So I tried to borrow one of my friend's kids to take him along. So I ended up having to kidnap him. No, just kidding. But no, we ended up all going along and watching. It was about 10 of us. So it's a great. I love that movie.
Have you seen it on the big screen before, or was that? the
Yeah, I
first
saw it on
time?
the big screen when it first came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
getting old here. So seen the theatre production. I own it. But I just when it was back at the cinema, I was like, I've got to go. So $8 movies. It's like
Oh, fuck.
yeah,
I'll
everyone
go
got the
for
same
that.
price. So yeah, but they're doing some others. I think they're doing like Bambi and Fantasia.
Yeah, I saw that Bambi. Yeah,
and all of those.
Fantasia. That'd be great to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah,
So-
Down for that.
especially for $8.
Yeah. So
Lion King's fucking, $8 for that.
yeah,
That's
man, it's
awesome.
so good. Such a
Yeah.
good movie.
Bob, we're already booked in for Infinity War, like 5 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
We got our seats booked and everything, and that'll be around our 50th episode, I think.
I think it's the only Avengers movie I'm ever going to have been to.
That's okay.
the
You'll have a
cinema
great
to see.
time. I'll hold your hand and fill you in on what's happening.
No, should be good.
Yeah, it should be good. Annihilation, what would you give it out of 5? Medium from me. I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, 3 from me.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a medium.
Yeah, it
I didn't hate it, but it was just...
was no Ex Machina. Like,
Yeah, no. This is Alex Garland's best film.
Yeah.
But there was talk the other day, I shared you the article, that Pete Travers didn't actually direct Dredd. It was actually Alex Garland. He stepped in and he pretty much, well, maybe directed 3/4 or half that film. And he apparently chased after a co-director's credit. But I think the Screen Actors Guild or whatever, they wouldn't give it to him. So it was pretty much like, yeah, Carl Urban came out and said he's pretty much, he directed that movie. Like Pete Travers was just had no idea or whatever. I don't know what the story is there, but yeah, apparently that's another Alex Garland film, and that's a fucking great movie. I love that movie. You're not so keen on that movie, Bob, I remember you saying, but yeah, I fucking love that.
I don't know. I didn't hate it at the time. It just didn't like fucking light a fire under me like it did for everyone else.
If I buy it for you in 4K and you watch it, you'll change your tune.
I probably will.
How's your telly on your Xbox going, real quick?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Yep.
loving it.
Have you watched Blade Runner yet?
Yeah, watch that. in
How'd you
4K
go?
there.
What'd you think?
The
Yeah.
new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sexy in 4K.
Yep.
Yep, real nice. And watched it at night, turned all the lights off, so I had that like OLED screen where it's like fucking perfect blacks, and all the dark scenes looked fucking just amazing, and it was really good.
See all Harrison Ford's wrinkles.
Yeah, every one of his nose hairs.
Let's do the news.
Yep.
All right. Now, I've only got 2 bits of news because I want to leave the rest for comedy. Now, you're right, Bob. Have a beer, mate. here's a bottle opener, bud. There you go. Get into it. Pop mine while you're at it. Sorry, folks.
Cheers.
All right, so Rob Zombie's just confirmed the shootings commenced on his sequel to The Devil's Rejects titled 3 from Hell, which sees the return of Captain Spaulding, Otis Driftwood, and Baby Firefly all back. Now, he had his director's chair in that there with the official logo on that. Apparently, he's already selling like limited edition logo t-shirts on his website. So yeah, just started filming, I think it was last week. It's only been filming for like a week and a half or something like that. I'm not sure what it's going to be, whether it's just going to be like a straight up, sort of in the same vein as The Devil's Rejects, or it's going to be, because 3 from Hell, it's going to be maybe a bit more supernatural, or, you know, who knows what, but yeah.
I haven't seen much, Rob Zombie movies for a long time. He brought out one a couple of years ago. What was it? 13?
31.
31, yeah.
No, I haven't seen 31.
31. I was thinking of the Offspring lyrics. He asked
Have
for
you
a
seen...
13 and he drew a 31.
Showing your age there, boy.
Yeah, I know.
Have you seen Lords of Salem?
No.
Have you seen any Rob Zombie stuff, Doug?
No.
So, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Haunted World of El Super Beasto, Lords of Salem. No.
He did the remake of Halloween.
Yeah, the Halloween and Halloween 2. Yeah.
I got his soundtrack on the original Need for Speed. So.
Now, Doug, you're a big movie guy, but you actually, like, are you a horror guy, or you're not much of a horror buff, or?
I like, not a lot of horror. I like some of the old classics like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original ones. So, they're always classics to watch. I think just as growing up, you know, they were the movies we weren't allowed to watch, so you'd always sneak
now you're
them.
An adult,
you'd sneak them somewhere. Sometimes I watch them now just for old trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
So, but you know, especially like Friday the 13th and stuff like that. It's like, you know, I did like the remake. I have to admit, and you're probably going to throw beer bottles at me. I did like Freddy vs. Jason.
We went to the cinema and saw Freddy vs. Jason. In college. Yeah,
so,
we had a great time with that movie. Sterlo was there and Easy and
one of my favorite lines in that. It's been so long I can barely remember the movie, but
I know the line you're going to say. The cop
rolls up like. The kids are out on the street, covered in blood, like screaming their guts out, and the cop rolls up in the street and is like, "Do you kids need some assistance?"
And she's just like, "What the fuck do you think?" And she's like covered in blood. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember you saying that fucking like 15, 20 years ago. So, Jesus.
It's like those movies always question the obvious, you know? Yeah. It's like the end of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She like runs out on the road to the truck and the truck driver's like, "Should I stop? Like,
are you okay?
Are you all right?" Like,
and like it's 70 meters up the road, there's a guy with a bloody flesh face with a chainsaw in the air, chasing you down the road.
Yeah,
as if you wouldn't see that coming.
Nah, so it was they were the horror movies that I watched. I watched obviously a lot of comedies. I do like sort of comical dramas. I think one of my favorite movies is Almost Famous. I really like Three Billboards.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I did love Three Billboards. I thought that was really going to hit the Academy Awards this year. I thought it was deserving. I haven't seen The Shape of Water though. But Three Billboards Out of Ebbing, Missouri was such a good movie.
Yeah. I'm really keen to see that too. Yeah.
Bit of a Frances McDormand fan because as you know, Almost Famous, she's in that as well. So I've watched a lot of her
Fargo
stuff. Fargo and her stuff coming through. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes I watch movies, I just can't imagine someone not in that role. I find whoever casts some movies are really good. Yeah. Some are bad equally, but there's some movies could you imagine Fight Club without Edward Norton? You know, so I don't know. Is it just because it became a classic movie? Did that character get ingrained in your memory? Like you just can't swap it. Like you often read these things. You guys would probably read these more than me when you'd read and go, "We originally penned, you know, this person to be in the role, but they couldn't do it, so this person did it, and then that movie became a classic." I think Seven was a classic where they penned Denzel for Morgan Freeman's role, but I don't think you could ever go back and watch I can't even imagine. Like, I was a fan of Denzel. You know, I couldn't think.
It'd feel like a totally different.
Yeah,
guy,
absolutely.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like you'd have like, you know, this suave 3-piece suit walking into every crime scene, buttoning
With
up
Brad
his...
Pitt in the same room. It's
So-
kind of like too much good looking going
Yeah.
on at once. You got to offset the old guy and the young guy kind of thing. And
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then,
Yeah.
but those sort of movies are all really good. I like those sort of, you know, movies, which is pretty cool. So I have a pretty general perspective. Like, I love Titanic, like, and I say that in the sense of like not the romantic love story, but I'm interested in the mystique of the Titanic. So I've watched all like the documentaries, and then the movie itself. James Cameron did really good to recreate, you know, to scale the movie, and his facts on the sinking were quite good. So yeah, the spectrum really goes everywhere. But I spent a lot of time just watching Netflix, watching stand-up comedy specials, and that coming across new comedy now. I think, as I said, you know, as the comedy's got more, I've got more into it, and I'm just more open to watch new comedy. I'm more open to watch comedy that I maybe not even find funny, but just go. I was at a particular comedian not long ago, and I wasn't really laughing at his stuff, but there were like 90 people in the room laughing at his stuff. So I'm like looking at it at a totally different angle. I'm like, why? What's he doing that's connecting with these
what's
people?
the magic that's happening
You know,
here
what's
that
he doing? You
I'm
know,
not
so
seeing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hold that thought, because I got one more bit of news, because that's really good. I want to come back to that. But the only other bit of news that I got is Danny Boyle's confirmed to direct the next James Bond film. So
Really?
Daniel Craig's last outing. I did have shit on my phone to read, but I just realised I left my phone out in the lounge room, so I just won't worry about it. But yeah, Danny Boyle, director of Trainspotting, 127 Hours, 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire, is coming in to direct the next Bond film.
has he done a James Bond before?
No, I don't think he's really done sort of anything action-y. I think the most action kind of flick he's done were those sort of scenes in 28 Days Later. Like the zombie attacks and that, you know, with the soldiers and everything, and the machete chopping scenes and all that sort of stuff. I can't really, put my
He might
finger
bring
sort of on
Moby
anything.
back for the soundtrack. But yeah, Danny Boyle, because I think I like Danny Boyle stuff because of his soundtracks
Yep.
as well.
Yeah,
Like he
dude knows how to make a soundtrack.
Yeah, he
for
knows
sure.
how to make a like if it wasn't this, the 127 hours wouldn't have been anything without soundtrack as well. Like it's,
Yeah.
he's good.
Now, have you guys seen Trainspotting 2? Because I haven't actually seen it.
Love it.
Does it hold up
Oh yeah,
as well to the original?
I
Or?
fucking loved it.
yeah,
Really?
I did. I walked out of it thinking to myself, it's close to one of the best sequels ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was good.
It works so fucking well that they left it for 20 years and then brought the characters back, and they're all actually just aged as well.
Yeah.
And like, and the story just rolls on straight like you would expect it to.
Absolutely.
And the fucking soundtrack was like fucking perfect again. And I'm like,
Nah, it was
everything about that movie was like the sequel that you never expected should happen, but it actually worked perfectly.
yeah. No, definitely, it got very, very high marks.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's your rating system? What do you go up to? 5?
Yeah, out of 5.
5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
Trainspotting 2.
Wow. I'm going to have to watch it. I think it's on Stan. I think I've got it in my watch list.
Stan's good, huh? Stan has a good amount of movies.
Yeah. I
yeah,
watched.
that's all right.
What did I watch? Oh, fuck. I watched Kill List on Stan the other day. What is it? It's like a hitman flick, but then it turns into like this horror film, like in the second half. It was really fucking good, actually. I was going to recommend it to you and Pat, Bob, but then I was like, Pat might watch this and he'll be like, yeah. So I just didn't worry about it. I just kept that one to myself.
We
So,
should note that Pat watched Annihilation as well.
Oh, yes.
Back to that, and he fucking loved the shit out of it.
Yeah, he loved it. Yeah.
So
something different.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was like, just refreshing.
I had nightmares after Trainspotting 1, though. I have to
Yeah.
admit, like, that baby on the roof scene. Like,
Oh, that was fucked.
that
Yeah.
was really messed up. That was messed up than some of my jokes. Like, I seriously like wake up like there's a baby on the roof. Like what? So, they were great movies.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to just before when you were talking about comedy and stand-up and stuff. I got 2 points. You're talking about 3 billboards. I can't remember what the director's name is. It's Grant or Greg. I think it's Grant, something like that. But his first 2 films I fucking loved, In Bruges and 7 Psychopaths.
Oh, they his, were they?
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
went on to do
7
3
Psychopaths
billboards.
is fucking great.
Oh,
yeah.
they steal dogs. That's their MO. They
Yeah.
kidnap dogs and then like, we found your dog. Give us a reward. It's just like, the fuck? But I love that movie. In Bruges was just like one of the funniest like black comedies of like the
Still
last
haven't
bloody.
seen that. I've gotta watch
What?
that. Yeah.
Haven't you really?
That's one that's been on my radar for fucking forever, and I always forget.
Oh
to
my
pick it
god,
up.
that's got some of the best gags in it.
Yeah.
It's,
That's Colin Farrell as well.
Yeah, Colin Farrell. Yeah. He's the couple of hitmen, and like he's fucked up a job, so like their like mob boss or whatever, he sent them to Bruges to sort of lay low, and Colin Farrell's like he's from hanging out in London and stuff. And
Yeah, it's British, huh? It's set in Britain,
he likes the big city and stuff, and now they're in like this picturesque like fairy tale little village town. And he's like, I fucking hate it here. He just want to leave. He keeps talking about how he wants to kill himself because he hates Bruges so much, and they just get into all these fucking hijinks and shit. And it is so black. It is so like dark. It's like the darkest, blackest comedy. But yeah, it's got some of the best gags in it. Like I've seen in ages. There's this one I want to tell you about, but I can't tell you because I'll ruin it. Right. Yeah, but
have you got
you should definitely watch that. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, you can lend it. Yeah.
All right, sweet. I've been dying to watch that.
Sweet.
For ages.
Now you're talking about stand-up specials on Netflix. Did you watch Patton Oswalt's newest special?
Yeah, is that the one who talks about his wife?
Yeah, that's fucking heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking.
He talks about his wife because his wife passed away.
Yeah,
it was a year or two ago now. And he talks about how, he's got this young daughter and stuff and trying to, like, go on. And, he worked it into his routine and stuff. And
man, it's gold comedy because it's dark, but I was like, I don't think that sort of comedy, I think I said to someone after, you can't do that comedy unless you've lived that comedy.
Can't
like
manufacture it.
You can't, you can't create it. Like, it was definitely, you've, in some parts, you're nearly dwelling a tear in your eye and trying not to laugh at the same time because he's just, because
the first 45 minutes is just like a regular set, and he kills it as well. And then he goes on to, he's like, you may know these, like, in the last year, like 14 months ago, whatever, my wife passed away, and he goes on to tell the story, and he just gets fucking real about it. He's like trying to, tell your daughter like what's happened and stuff, and everyone thinks it's okay one day at a time, and he's like, tell that to my daughter when she's crying in bed, and I'm outside staring up at the stars at 4:00, crying in the backyard, 4:00 in the morning, and you're just like, fuck, it's just so real. And yeah, Patton Oswalt, Annihilation, it's called.
Oh, Annihilation.
So I think it's called Annihilation.
Yeah, I think it is.
You should watch that special. I think it's only like an hour and a half, but yeah, it's a good watch. I really like Patton Oswalt. Yeah, I'm a big Patton Oswalt fan.
Yeah. So
How good is fucking Netflix for that stand-up comedy though? Like, holy shit.
It's so good.
I've never watched so much in my life since
watch
Netflix.
Watch Anthony Jeselnik. Yeah, is the one I just watched recently. Thoughts and Prayers.
Yep.
Again, very dark, but in a different way. Like, he just says stuff that you shouldn't. You feel wrong that you should be laughing at. Like, one joke he says, and like, this is his joke. It's not my joke. He says, something along the lines of like, I dropped my mate's son the other day. I dropped my mate's son. Now, fair call. I take a bit of blame for that. But no man should let me be a pallbearer. Something, something along those lines, It's like, so who would make me a pallbearer? Like, so he blames him, like, What else? There was another one he said, he goes, my mom, 9/11 was a tragic thing, my mum should have been on one of those planes. No, literally, she should have been on one of those planes. I hate the girl. Like, but he's so good. And again, he breaks off into, some almost some serious stuff that happened to him, but he turns it into a comedy. But not in the same way as Patton. Like, definitely not same level. But such a good comedian. That's probably one of the good comedy specials I watched recently. I watched that and I literally went back and I said to my wife, you got to watch this. Like, this is wrong on too many levels. But I couldn't pull it off. Again, you get that to that level of, that energy that you have to be that comedian to be able to pull it off. I remember I spoke to a young comedian just the other week. Actually, he said to me, he goes, what did you think of my set? And he did some stuff, which is pretty extreme in his 5-minute set, and the crowd didn't really take to it. Yeah. And I said, look, you can do extreme humor, but even when you look at even the pros, if you look at like Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, Marlon Wayans, whoever it is you're looking at, they will do extreme stuff, but they'll do it 25 minutes into a set. You know, they won't do it in a 5-minute gap. You know, where this is, you're showcasing 5 minutes of your stuff. You're going to start, you know, hanging yourself and, you know, in a 5-minute set, it's not going to work. But
you got to reel them in first.
Yeah, get that
light comedy.
So, you know, that
Build up there.
Yeah, get to know them so you think, okay, yeah, this is extreme, but you know, it's
and then give them a while afterwards to digest that
Yeah.
before you go back up again.
Like
you go in with 5 minutes of like, oh, death, and destruction, and blah.
all comedians will have their absolutely extreme stuff. There's a comedy documentary you guys should watch called The Aristocrats. If you ever get a chance. It's probably done in the mid-90s, but it's every comedian who's anyone in the mid-90s telling the same joke.
Wow.
I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, they tell the same joke. It's a classic joke that was, I think it was created by Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, the original sort of Brat Pack in that late 80s. They created this joke, and then it's a joke that you can adapt to different stories.
Yeah.
So like all these comedians tell it. It's absolutely vulgar, but you watch it in the first 5 or 10, you're going, okay, I'm getting a bit sick of it. By the end of it, you're in absolute hysterics. These guys are. It's got everyone: Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Connolly, Rowan Atkinson. You know, the guys from Full House. Everyone anyone in the 90s who was doing comedy is on this DVD. It's
awesome.
Such a good. The Aristocrats. You got to check it out.
Yeah, right. See if I can track that down.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen a lot of comedy in that over the years. I was talking to Bob just about this before in the car ride over. Comedy films aren't something that I like naturally chase now. Like, I'm more into other genres than that I'm older. When I was a younger man and I had more spare time, I would watch a lot of comedies.
Less facial hair.
Yeah, less facial hair. I couldn't grow any facial hair. But, you know, when I was younger, like I'd watch a lot of comedies. You know, you still live with mum and dad. You got a lot of spare time. We've got, Austar, pay TV or something like that. So, there's always comedies and something like that on. But now it's more of a thing that I'm less likely to go out and say, buy a comedy, unless I know it's exceptionally good. But, like, we don't have video shops anymore, but, you could go to the video shop, and this was before all our video shops shut, we'd rent out a comedy or two to watch, like, with the girlfriend and that, we'd
Happy
watch
Gilmore.
one night. Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Every time.
Or we'd go up, we've got the little Hoyt's kiosk machine up here at the marketplace. We rent a comedy out of that, like, there's this Scarlett Johansson comedy from last year called Rough Night. Apparently it's meant to be pretty good. We're going to watch that at some stage. But comedy isn't something that I actively chase at the moment. It's more something that I'll watch on Netflix or Stan or something that I'll come across. But what do you sort of look for, Doug, like when you watch comedy? Are you someone who just eats up everything comedy because, you're such a big fan of and being a stand-up and everything and that? Or do you just pull from memories like when you were younger and stuff, Adam Sandler and, watching Chris Rock and Richard Pryor and, all these different comedians and stuff. Is that something you actively go out to watch? Do you try to watch like a lot of comedy films, or it's just like, I'm sick of comedy, I want to watch someone get murdered in a Sandra Bullock thriller or something?
No, I do a lot of, I don't know, I guess I call it the family tree principle. Like, I'll watch one movie, and then if there's someone in that movie that I like, then I'll go and source that person.
Okay, yeah.
So, and then I'll watch his stuff, and then maybe watch him grow a little. But, so you'll watch Eddie Murphy, and then you'll see Chris Rock make an appearance in his movies, and then you'll go, okay, I like this guy. So then I'll do a lot of like branching off from other stuff. Stuff I watch, like I very much tend to lean towards the American style sense of humor. So I watch things like Saturday Night Live and stuff, and see the guys that usually progress from Saturday Night Live out into movies, follow their stuff, and, Andy Samberg, moved into Lonely Island, and, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of the best comedy shows on TV at the moment. You either love it or hate it, but I think it's got like if I could be in any script writing room, I think those guys would be intensely crazy because they're just constantly smashing out good jokes, and they're not always just the same genre. They're not always just like, the one genre of jokes. They're just like total spread and totally how I think totally out of the box, totally. This is, I think the element of a good joke is it's about surprise. So, it's like, you got to go, okay, I think this is going anywhere. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, did he really just say that? Like, or if you can see it coming, still once it hits, you're like, oh, wow, I just really wanted to hear that because that's where I thought it was going. So
Yeah.
So, but I watch comedy movies based on guess reference from other movies, other people, what shows they might have been on. Yeah, Saturday Night Live is probably a big point. But then, definitely someone who's been on that show with someone else. And then I'll pick them up. I might just read it. And then again, a lot of comedians will talk, like, have you seen this guy? Have you seen that guy? And I'll check it out from there. But
do you find it's like, if you sit down to watch a film now, that you can just switch off and enjoy it? Or it's always like a research thing, like for kind of stand up? Or is it kind of a bit of both?
No, I do. I definitely switch off and watch a movie.
Yep.
I definitely can do that. I tend to switch off more with the Three Billboards style movie, something that is not a comedy.
If a Will Ferrell movie came on or something, I'd
probably have the laptop out
and just have it on in the background.
And it'll just be on in the background. Like, I watched Daddy Home 2 the other day and I was just like, just laughing at it and, then tweeting, laughing and tweeting, laughing and tweeting, so... Or memeing, I should say.
Memeing, yeah.
So with comedies, not like that. But I definitely still like to sit down and watch a good, what was the one we watched? Atomic Blonde or something, Just sit down and just go, okay, nothing's on. I'm watching this movie.
I didn't like that movie.
So
that was one of my worst movies of last year. I forgot it. I remembered, when we were talking our best of worst of last year, I was like, what was that one fucking movie I was meant to say? I forgot what it was. And then I couldn't remember it. And then after the show, I was like, Atomic Blonde! I fucking hated that movie. It was terrible. And then everyone's going to me like, oh yeah, the story wasn't very good, but the action was great. Right. And I'm like, yeah, but action doesn't come first. Give me a great story and the action's all the more better. Yeah. That action scene is cool, but I've seen better in John Wick because that had a great story and great action. That went hand in hand. Even though it's from, the same guys that did John Wick, you haven't pulled it off in this one. But... I can appreciate what you did.
We talk about Danny Boyle, but I think the music played a lot of part in that as well.
Yeah, it did too, yeah. Being 80 set and whatever, yeah.
Yeah, because it was set just after the Cold War, wasn't it? Or,
was it Russia?
Russia.
Yeah.
You're not missing much.
No. It's got Charlize Theron.
Monster?
Yeah. Every hole's a goal, boy. I said every, not any. There's a big difference.
Now, Bob, what do you look for in comedy, mate? Because I feel like in terms of comedy, you and I have very similar tastes. We like a lot of British comedy. So we like a lot of comedy on TV. We had this chat before.
Yeah.
But classically, we were kids and stuff and we watched a lot of movies and that, and, our parents would bring home movies from the video shops and there was always a great comedy in there and then there was always a stupid comedy. But, we all watch that stuff. We all take it in. Is there anything sort of classically, aside from The Big Lebowski, in your life?
My only one.
That's a really sort of standout, comedy for you? Is something that you could always go back to that's not The Big Lebowski and watch?
It's hard because, I tend to steer more towards the TV comedy, like you're saying. Movies.
Because you're a massive, Parks and Rec fan, aren't you?
Yeah, love Parks and Rec. Fucking love heaps of British, comedy, IT Crowd and Black Books and Spaced and fucking...
Right, Mighty Boosh.
Mighty Boosh, I love the shit out of that. Yeah, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, all that stuff. I love it. With movies, it's hard. I don't I won't turn it off if something's on TV, like a Will Ferrell movie or something. I'll generally watch it, but it's like you said, I kind of pay 50% attention to it. I don't sit there and go, oh, his new movie's coming out in the cinema. I'm going to fucking race out and watch that.
If you want to get me to pay attention to a comedy movie like a Will Ferrell movie, take me to the cinema. Because that's when I'm just going to sit there and watch it.
Yeah, you're I'm going to get my fucking $20 worth.
Yeah, and there's a big bowl of popcorn in front of me. But what about stuff like Monty Python? You go back that far? Because Monty Python stuff was classic for British humour. And
I definitely, whenever that comes up on TV and stuff, I'll sit down and watch, I'll be like, I'm calling it a night, I'm fucking watching that, because, that stuff's great. But I don't really tend to remember to go back and watch it myself. Like, it's almost got to be presented to me to remember. Because I tend to just, I stick to the sci-fi or the heady stuff or the Three Billboards sort of style of drama-y kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like a little bit of sprinkling of comedy in there, but it's kind of a darker tone to it or
One
something.
thing I was going to bring up with you guys, like, because obviously any sort of movie now, it's become really big to have a comic relief in it. You know, there's always some sort of person who's that, that crazy character and is going to break it up and make you laugh.
Brings the lightness to the film.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, except probably Dunkirk, I don't think they had anything in it.
No. I don't think I laughed once in that movie.
Yeah, no. So, but that's the exception to the rule.
Yeah. No, I mean, growing up in the 90s, I mean, when you were a kid, Jim Carrey movies and like all that, and Adam Sandler movies and stuff, I loved that stuff when I was growing up. But now I don't really go back to it. Like I was saying, Ace Ventura was on the other night on TV, and I was watching that, and I'm like, it's actually kind of a hard pill to swallow now that I'm older. Like, it almost kind of seems a bit too hammy for me.
But a film like that, especially Ace Ventura, that's very much a product of its time.
Yeah.
That's very much a product of the 90s. Like, the kind of comedian on what Jim Carrey was known for in the 90s, that film was pretty much, here's what Jim Carrey is really good at in comedy. Boom. It's in a movie format with this weird pet detective story wrapped around it, you know?
What is the password? New England clam chowder. But like, the thing is with that movie, like, you don't have to pay attention to it these days because you know every line that's coming. You know, why do you chew so much gum, Ace? Don't ask personal questions. It's like, I that's why I can tune out and watch those. And I guess that's because it's all been done. A lot of it's been done. You're watching it in you're watching the same movie, 4 times over with different lead actors, and so you can tune out. So, but now and then, stuff will come along that you just go, I'm going to watch it. I think one that I watched was probably going on a little bit. My Idiot Brother. Have you seen that?
Oh, no. Is that with the Aussie, like the Greek Aussie
it's got,
guy?
Paul Rudd.
Oh, okay.
Paul Rudd. It was such a good, like, it's kind of a bit more like a feel-good comedy, but that was one that had me watching it from the whole lot just because you kind of feel sorry for his character, but you like it. There's a lot of laughs in it, not like side-splitting, you're falling on the ground laughing, but it's just it's a good comedy. I think it's written well and it's got a good story. So but very few. I think because comedies aren't designed, so you have to. I think people in mind know that nowadays with all the social media on the phones and that, people aren't paying attention to it when they're
the phones,
the iPads.
I have the perfect. This is my idea of a perfect comedy movie. It just sprung to mind when you're talking about that. Death at a Funeral is like one of my fucking favorite. Like, I'll go back and watch that over and over and over. Like, it's just the perfect storm of fucked in one day and all these different characters at play. Have you seen it before?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
And there's two. There's the British version, then that did a US remake, which had like Chris Rock and everyone that in it.
Oh, really?
I think it had Burnie Mac in it as well.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
I can't believe I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same title, Death at a Funeral.
Yep.
But it's pretty much an African American cast. So it's like Chris Rock, I think, Burnie Mac, and a lot of other famous African American comedians and stuff and that in it. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go and suss that out, see what it's like. But the British one is fucking excellent. Like, just perfect. Like, what's his name from Firefly? Fucking
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, man, he just is the funniest. Has the funniest role in that movie, and just like creates this little cyclone in a tense little environment that just explodes like every situation around it. It's amazing. So good. Yeah.
I have this real standout for, I think, before I say that, the last comedy I bought was, I think it was last year. It was a Friday night. I wanted something for me and Kate to watch, but I wanted something different, so I went to JB, and Central Intelligence was on sale with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
That was good. I saw it at cinema, so as I said,
I spent $15 on that. We watched that. We had a pretty good laugh. We got a few good laughs in that out of that, because The Rock, he plays like, he was a real big dude in high school and that, and he was picked on and that, but then like, he's lost all this weight, and he looks like The Rock, but he's like a CIA agent, but he's still like the same like dorky guy, like on the inside, but he's like this meatcake mountain, and Kevin Hart was like the jock and that at school, and he was like the football quarterback or whatever, and he was the most popular guy, and, you know, they sort of come back together, and Kevin Hart works in like this boring, I think he's like an accountant or something like that now. And they're just like polar opposites now, and yeah, they just get embroiled in this big CIA mission thing, and they're on the run, and yeah, it's kind of funny. There's a lot of good gags and that in there, but
The Rock does great comedy, I think. Like I don't really get into his action movies at all, but
he first did it in Be Cool. Do you remember Be Cool?
I was going to bring that movie up. I fucking loved him
in
in Be Cool.
So good.
Yeah.
He was good in that movie.
And next to Vince Vaughn, like his bodyguard,
and the aluminum baseball bat.
Yeah.
So no, he's pretty good. I actually met him one day. Actually,
Really?
Yeah, I was in Sydney. I was working in a place called the Gowings Building. It's no longer. It was used to be a men's department store, and it had like extra large men's shirts up on the floor that we were in. And he came into the store, and I remember across the other side of the store, my mate Toby was working, and I was working in the cafe on the other side. And Toby's like, oh, Dwayne Johnson's coming up. The Rock's coming up. He goes, Doug, watch the floor. And I'm like, okay, why? And he's just gone. He's bolted out of the building. And I'm like, okay, you love The Rock. Why are you leaving? Anyway, he came up and he was looking at the large shirts. So I went over and just said g'day to him. I said something like, you are a rock, and he was like a really nice guy. Toby comes back with about 36 copies of Welcome to the Jungle. He's bolted across to HMV at Pitt Street Mall. He's bought like all of the Welcome to the Jungle copies and some friggin' Sharpie pens. And he's got him signing all these copies for his brother, his cousin. It's like, I was like, yeah, so it was a good story. I was like, yep, that's where he's gone. Get merch.
Wow.
So The Rock actually does shop at Big and Tall, kind of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a monster.
Wow.
Sometimes, you meet people and you go, okay, you're actually smaller than I thought, He's a unit.
He's actually huge.
Yeah, right.
Well, Vince Vaughn is like, he's my height, I think. He's 6'6", and I'm pretty sure The Rock is 6'5". So those two in Be Cool kind of look like just normal height because they're just standing next to each other the whole movie until you get like John Travolta or someone walk into the room next to them and they're like down
He's like 5'7".
Yeah.
Magic of camera work.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, some of my favorite comedies that I'm really drawn to, I like, there are quite a few like cult comedies and that I like, but some of my favorites that I always go back to, I worship John Candy. I love everything about John Candy. I worship everything he does. He's the funniest, coolest guy. I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Have you ever seen that movie, Dad?
Yeah, it's very good.
The scene in the airport, like the car rental and that, with Steve Martin, the fuck scene, like a minute and a half. I think he says fuck like 40-something times in a minute and a half. He's like, you give me the keys to this fucking car that's out in the fucking road, and every sentence he has just has fuck in it. He's like, I want you to give me a fucking car, a fucking Aston, a fucking Buick, a fucking Ford, or whatever. I don't care what the fuck it is. And it's this big, long, like, tirade scene and that, but I absolutely worship, like, John Candy and everything he does. Even his bit part in Home Alone, where he plays like the bloody poker king of West Virginia or wherever it is, and they ride in the back of the truck and stuff.
Was it John Candy's in Spaceballs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Flying High, Caddyshack. Absolutely love Caddyshack. I love that movie. I can watch that over and over again. But one comedy that I love from the 80s that's kind of cultish comedy is The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Where it was the cul-de-sac where they filmed the movie that was like, this cul-de-sac of houses. They reused that later on in Desperate Housewives. But it's just this little comedy about this guy that takes the week off work, and he's got these neighbors that live next door. Like, every house looks immaculate, but the house next door looks like a haunted house, and like all the grass is overgrown and stuff, and they've got these people moved in next door called the Klopeks. And they're up like all hours of the night, and they're out digging in the backyard last night. And then you've got like these three guys that live in this cul-de-sac, like they're all friends in that, and they're trying to find out what these people are actually doing in this backyard. They're like breaking into their houses and shit. And the old guy up the other end of the cul-de-sac, he like goes missing, and they're like, they've kidnapped him and they've murdered him. And it's this fantastic little like I'd say it's it's not so much a dark comedy, but it's a little bit like it's not really Screwball or whatever. I don't know how to describe it, but it's directed by Joe Dante. So The Howling, Gremlins, all that sort of stuff. He directed The Hole a few years back, which was actually quite a good little film. But yeah, I love stuff like that. I've got a big list here of stuff that I've actually written down. Actually, one of the better, I've just noticed this written down, one of the better actually comedies. It's not really a comedy, it's more a comedy drama, but I was like, why didn't this movie win any like Oscars? It was The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie was like the Oscar that Leo won for The Revenant. He should have won for Wolf of Wall Street the year before.
Don't you feel, as movie buffs, do you feel that some actors get Academy Awards on IOUs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the
Academy Awards now is like a popularity contest.
I think one of the classics for me that I always say this story to is that I think Denzel Washington should have got one for Hurricane.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Then he went and got one for Training Day, which Training Day was a good movie, but
it's not his best.
No, it wasn't better than, I think,
The Hurricane, that movie's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's good. One movie that's on Netflix at the moment, have you guys seen, is A Futile and Stupid Gesture?
I haven't watched that, about the National Lampoon magazine and stuff yet. No, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, I want to see that.
It's so good. It's about the guys that set up National Lampoons, and Caddyshack reminded me of it, because the National Lampoons, if you talk about some of my classics as well, like, National Lampoon's American Vacation is up there as one of my favorite comedy movies.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase.
They go into Wally World and he gets the computer out. They're like, we're going to play on the route to Wally World.
Yeah, and like pretty much those movies growing up, they were classics, Spinal Tap, those, Ace Ventura, those sort of comedies. They were the ones that I used to watch and like just be glued to, were the National Lampoons ones, Caddyshack and, John Belushi and,
Animal House and Blues Brothers.
That sort of stuff, I guess, yeah. But, but then I got like I went all like Richard Pryor and See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Gene Wilder and stuff like that.
I loved that movie when I was younger. Yeah.
They're just, but yeah.
What put you onto that stuff? Like when you were younger, did you have like an older sibling or?
Racism.
Racism.
No, look, I remember I had a mate, his name was Adam, and for some reason he was allowed to be at home after school by himself. His mum worked late or something, so she'd always like his brother, and that would always just give us all like the R-rated stuff, as sweet. Kids. So, he'd let us watch, Delirious, let us watch Richard Pryor's, all those sort of stuff. And like, they were R-rated at the time. So, they were like, they were really, but we watched that stuff. And we watched other stuff too. We watched all like the Rambo movies and stuff and stuff that, well, my parents, I don't think they were strict, but they definitely guided what I was allowed to watch when I was growing up because, it didn't, I still ended up fucked, but
so did I. Like that happened to me. Like a mate of mine, he'd rented out John Carpenter's Vampires and he'd watched it and he's like, do you want me to bring you around and watch it? And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, you're not allowed to watch horror movies because your parents won't let you because they know what you like. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he come around to my house when my mum wasn't home and dad was at work. And we sat there and we watched John Carpenter's Vampires. And I was just like this kid, and I'm just like watching this, and the scene after they destroy the first vampire nest at the start and they go back to the motel. And then, I think it was Vlad the vampire, he comes in and he just like murders everyone. They've got like hookers and shit and they're all partying, this vampire crew and that. And he comes in and he's ripping them apart, ripping their hearts out. And I'm just like, this is fucked, but I love it. And then mum comes home when we finished. She's like, what have you been doing? And we're like, oh, I just watched this movie. And she just looked at me and was like, I was like, I loved it. It's a great movie.
Nightmares? Or
Nah. I had a great time. With it. Yeah. It's like, why aren't I allowed to watch stuff like this all the time?
God damn it. I watched this horror movie when I was younger called Blood Beach. You guys know that?
No.
I think I've heard of it, but familiarise me.
It's about like a plant that like was growing on the beach, and every time someone sat near it, it would suck them into the beach.
Oh.
And it's absolutely tacky American thing. And we watched it, same thing. We weren't allowed to watch it, and So we watched it, and I think I had these massive nightmares at the end of it. You know, wouldn't sit on a lounge with my feet on the carpet during, you know. But at the end, they did the typical American thing and blew it up, and then the credits. It was one of the first movies I saw where the credits rolled, and then it kind of flicked back to a scene on the beach, and instead of this one sort of like, because what would happen, the sand would kind of part, and then people would get sucked into the sand. So it'd be. But then what happened was in that final scene, there were like hundreds of little, because they blew it up. So hundreds of these little holes appearing, and then they left it. But I think it must have been that much of a dud. They never ever made a sequel. But
just close the beach.
Yeah, just close.
That's like
Never
that's
went to the beach ever
Well,
again.
Jaws was a horror. Wasn't George a classical horror? Would you put Jaws as a horror?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
That terrified people from going into the ocean.
It made
Yeah.
people fucking actually start culling sharks. Like, it's
Yeah.
fucked. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like people wouldn't swim in the ocean after that movie. Yeah. That's all Spielberg's fault.
Yep.
What about you, Doug? What's some standout like comedy for you that you could go back to and like revisit? Is there stuff you like pull out on a rainy day and just like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch this movie?
From the new age stuff, it's probably old school. Yeah, with Luke Wilson and Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn.
Yep.
That's one of the ones that I just, for some reason, it just sticks with me. I like that. But I'll go back to the older stuff, as I said, Spinal Tap. Because I don't watch them all too often now. When I do want to watch that old classic, they're my go-to.
Yep.
As I said, American Vacation is another classic I can watch. Chevy Chase and that Steve Martin. You know, those L.A. Story and Roxanne.
I rewatched The Jerk recently.
Yeah,
it's so good.
He's so good. Yeah, it really depends on the mood when it comes to comedy. But yeah, as I said, a lot of the time now, if I'm at home, it's the laptop's open and I'm photoshopping something for, you know, making a meme or you know, so I'm watching it with one eye. But it's I have my classics, and yeah, definitely those probably for National Lampoons, American Vacation, Spinal Tap, Happy Gilmore are probably three of my most favorites. I mean, Adam Sandler was like, you know, I think Adam's gone way left field to where he should have ever gone nowadays. But like back in the day, he was really good. And
let's talk about that for a bit. Let's talk about like stand-up comedians turned like actors, or just like comedic actors in general, sort of gone into like serious acting. Did you know that Emma Thompson was a comedian in the 80s, and like in the late 70s and 80s? She was a part of like this comedy troupe in the UK, and they did like a lot of TV and stuff, like real like crass like sort of comedy and that. And now she's gone on to become like Emma Thompson, you know.
Wow. I can imagine her doing it though. That's what's good. Like, I didn't know that, but I can imagine.
You can probably imagine her doing a lot of things though.
Yeah. So I just closed my eyes for a moment.
But yeah, Adam Sandler, for example, like he's a guy that like started out as a comedian, went into sort of acting in the sort of mid 90s, you know, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, and so on and so forth. And he was sort of like massive in the later 90s, and he still did well like into the noughties and that. But like in the last probably 7 to 10 years, they haven't been so kind to Adam Sandler.
Well, critics haven't been, but he still fucking makes bank like all the time. Like people will still go out and spend money on his movies. I don't know why, but
yeah, I remember seeing The Waterboy at the movies. And I knew Adam Sandler and I knew Billy Madison, but I knew The Wedding Singer too, right? And so The Waterboy was the very next movie after The Wedding Singer. There's two old ladies walking out behind us, and they're going, "That wasn't the guy from The Wedding Singer, surely!" Like, you know, because he just played an absolute like mental case in The Waterboy.
Yeah.
But, you know, but believers. But no, I think he can act in the sense of comedy acting. He's never gonna win an Academy Award, you know, but like he did a couple, like, I don't know, have you guys seen Spanglish and Punch Drunk Love?
I've seen Spanglish, but I haven't seen Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, Punch Drunk Love's really good. I did enjoy it for him to, I guess, play a quirky, in a dramatical role.
A lot of people say that's his best performance.
Yeah, it's really good, but I think I can't really think of too much after that That was probably the last time I really saw it.
I saw him in Reign Over Me. I brought this film up before, where he plays like a widower. Like his entire
wife was on
family
the-
were killed in like 9/11. They were all on the plane. He has no one. It's got Don Cheadle in it as well, I think.
Yeah, that wasn't a too bad a movie, actually.
And he spends half the movie playing Shadow of the Colossus in PS2.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, like since like he's got his own production company, like Happy Madison Pictures and stuff, and that and now he's got like this Netflix deal where he's produced like, I don't know, 6 films or specials for Netflix or whatever.
Well, Judd Apatow just went and did a stand-up comedy special.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw that.
Well, apparently I heard today
so,
Adam
yeah.
Sandler's going back to stand-up comedy this year.
Yeah, he's done
He's
that
just announced
already.
a new tour. Oh, okay.
Oh, he's doing a tour of it. Like
Yeah.
he went back and did stand-up comedy because back in the day he did it, and he hadn't done it for like 25 years or something. Hadn't done a set, and just recently it was documentary. Like he went back. You can look it on YouTube and stuff. He went back and did a stand-up comedy show. Like I don't think they have the whole show. I guess probably for that reason. There's going to be a Netflix special, and he'll probably tour again, which is good because I mean. Stuff like his Hanukkah song and stuff that he used to do back in the early days on his... Have you heard of any of his skit
back
CDs?
in his audio- I used to have I changed all my Windows sounds to be like Adam Sandler sounds. Like when I start up, I'd have all those little fucking
Play with your
soundboards.
cock and balls for mama!
That kind of shit.
I
Back in
do
Windows
love...
95.
I've got all his CDs like from back, in the early 90s, and they were good stuff. There was some good comedy there. But then again, it was pretty much his friends from Saturday Night Live, David Spade, Conan O'Brien was there. Yeah, it's that era from Saturday Night Live, and they were all Rob Schneider.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, Chris Farley was a classic, man. Like
Man, he was fucking great. I loved the shit out of
good,
him.
great, grand, wonderful. His trademark,
You remember when? I remember doing that.
Like I remember my mum thinking that she had to get me help because I liked Billy Madison. I think maybe because stop looking at me, Swan. It's such a good movie. But, Adam was good, but again, like they seem to have their era now. Like I'm a big fan of Andy Samberg. Like the new generation of Saturday Night Live again.
Now, while I've got you here, have you seen Hot Rod?
Yeah.
Do you like that movie?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
You're not a fan of Hot Rod?
No, I've seen it because Pat made me watch it, and then I kind of liked it, but now I'm just like...
Isn't Bill... Do you know Bill Hader?
Yeah.
He's a classic in that. Like, he's good in it. And, it's when he gets up with a bit of metal in his head and stuff. So I do, but I don't know if... I mean, I really do like it. That was actually probably one of the first times I really sort of, saw Ant. Was that his first movie?
I think so.
I was going to say, because I think it was one of the first times I saw him in an actual feature-length movie. But, yeah.
Well, he did a film with Adam Sandler a few years back. That's My Boy.
That was shit. I didn't like that. So.
Nail in the coffin for me was my ex-girlfriend and I, not the one you work with, the different one. We rented out Jack and Jill. And we got through, I think we got about 10 minutes in, and I was like, I cannot fucking watch this. Turn it off. I took it back. I was like, give me my money back. I can't watch this shit.
Yeah.
And then I found out the fucking Al Pacino was in it. Like, playing himself.
Oh,
and he does like this fucking advert for this coffee shop, Dunkachinos or whatever, and he sings a song. Gotta get some of my Dunkachinos.
It's a bit like me tuning out during 50 First Dates, But I think I watched Blended. Blended.
Mm-hmm.
I think I found everyone else's character more amusing than Adam Sandler's in that.
That's like I was seeing Grown Ups. I watched that. And that just seemed like an excuse for him to take all his mates on holiday for like 3 months to film this movie. Just like, that's what it kind of seems like now. But, all those movies are hits and that kind of thing. But I guess it's just like, I guess it just depends on what side of the world you're on. Because like in the US, like every time they bring out like Tyler Perry brings out a new Medea movie, like that fucking kills it at the box office. And over here, like no one would rent that. That's just like, where you're from, a cultural thing. Like, he's big in the US, like, when he plays Medea and that. But over here, like, no one's even heard of that. Like, who's Tyler Perry? He was that guy he played the lawyer in Gone Girl. Oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I know who he is.
Yeah.
But in this other movie, he dresses up like an old lady and, does like she gets in all these Halloween adventures and whatever and stuff. But
I think Americans really get they really get obsessed with someone. So if they get a fan, then they just like almost stick with them. Like so, and again, the population's so big. So you know, you get someone like Martin Lawrence, you know, who's absolutely killed. Like he's worshipped over there, you know, and in stand-up comedy, in movies, and like you know, some people here wouldn't even know that he was a stand-up comedian. You know, but like they just love him, and they just did like a, you know, have you seen Def Jam comedy? Have you watched that on Netflix? It's basically they go back and kind of almost like a bit of a Hall of Fame induction, and like you know everyone's there, Murphy, everyone, you know, just bowing down to Martin Lawrence. But I never ever knew Martin Lawrence as a stand-up comedian until well after I'd watched like Bad Boys 2 and you know
Blue Streak,
you know, and you know Black Knight.
Black Knight, that movie.
Oh wow,
I remember that. Yeah.
Shit.
But yeah, so like you know, and I think I wrote just recently that a post on Instagram that I think he is underrated in some of his movies, but I think he brings that on himself with doing stuff like Black Knight. But yeah, Bad Boys, you know, everyone would, you know, relate him to that. But some of those early black hip hop movies like Class Act and House Party, those movies that Martin Lawrence was in, as you know, they were my high school movies, you know, when I grew up. Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, you know, that transition of the stand-up comedians going into movies, which we spoke about briefly before, that, you know, like that transition of a lot of stand-up comedians will end up in movies. So,
Well, take someone like Eddie Murphy, for example. Like, in the 80s, you couldn't touch Eddie Murphy. Like, he was on fire. Like, everything he touched, like, turned into gold. Like, he was on SNL. He had Delirious. What was the other special he did? Raw. Trading Places, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, just everything sort of in the 80s.
Another 48 Hours.
Yeah, another 48 Hours. Another movie with Nick Nolte. And then even into the 90s, like, he had success with the bloody Nutty Professor and even Dr. Dolittle and that kind of stuff. And yeah, but like even now, it's just like apparently Eddie Murphy's like the most unbankable star in Hollywood. But he had that comeback with Dreamgirls and stuff, and he got the Oscar nomination. But then that's one thing I hate about the Oscars. Like, people just don't care about that particular performance because Dreamgirls came out, Eddie Murphy got nominated. They're like, this is the best role of his career. He's a shoo-in for the Oscar. And then Norbit came out, which was filmed before he did Dreamgirls, and it just happens to be coming out now. And they're like, that's the reason he didn't win that Oscar, because of that shit role. And I'm like, that's not fair. That's one thing I hate about America. I hate about the Academy Awards. It's a flavor of the moment thing. If you're hot now and then you've got a movie that comes out that's shit, like that affects that performance. It's fucked. America's stupid.
The thing with Eddie though is like, I mean, he probably gets Shrek royalties, right? So the fucking guy doesn't have to work again in his life. Like, you know, the money that he would just get off those 3 Shrek voiceover movies would be insane.
Yeah, I kind of, like, I kind of forget that he was in Shrek.
Yeah, like he, you know.
Is it Mulan?
Yeah, I think, you know, you making that much bank, like, why would you even fucking bother with all the effort, you know?
It's like yeah, but yeah, he was. I was watching some old. I started going through watching old YouTube clips of interviews with them when they're in, you know, like Carson show and stuff, like back in 1983, Richard Pryor, 1979. Just watching it, you know, and like he was on there, and like, and he's like a god, you know, back then. He was just like, you know, he had all this like leather stuff on, and like, you know, and you know, that 1983, I think he'd just done Trading Places, you know, Beverly Hills Cop 1. Hadn't he? I don't think Beverly Hills Cop 1. When did that come out? 1984?
I think it was 84, because the second one came out 87 or 88, and then the third one didn't come out till like 93.
Is that when they went to the fun park?
Well, they went to the theme park, yeah.
Yeah. Did they do a fourth?
No.
No, the fun park was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes they just like really just stretch out movies. You guys probably got many opinions on it, just stretching out movies for the sake of stretching them out, but franchising them up and
too long between sequels.
Yeah, and then do prequels.
Back then, it didn't probably seem that long between, because like there just wasn't that much content to consume. So like people would in the 80s would just watch a movie 10, 15 times a year.
Mm.
Now it's like you can't show somebody on Facebook a video that they've already fucking seen. Like a 30-second thing, and like, oh, have you seen this fucking cat jumping out of a? Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I can't show my wife anything these days. Like I'm like, check out this meme. Oh, I saw it a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, check out this.
Oh, they fucking brought that video out 3 years ago. It came up on my feed ages ago.
Check this picture of me fucking the neighbour. You haven't seen that, have you?
Actually, I have, but it was from this angle.
Oh, you just made that whole much funnier than I did. But no, it's like, yeah, you can't. Like, it's just everyone's sort of seen it now. It's just social media. It's just everyone's just.
Yeah, no one watches a movie twice anymore. Like, you know, yeah.
Just like, when we were kids and stuff, like you would just put the same tapes in and just watch them over and over again. Because that's all you had. You had the same 5 or 6 VHSs you had to go through.
We lost account of how many times my brother watched The Wizard of Oz. He'd watch it, rewind it, sit there, press play again. So that's a classic though, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
That is a great movie, yeah.
Could have watched much worse.
I think that's probably about it.
All right, wind it up.
Time
I didn't
to
even
fuck.
get my list out. We fucking just...
Oh,
Schindler's List.
jeez, get your list out then.
your
What are
list
you
out.
doing?
No.
Here we go. This is an encore.
Oh, get it out. Come on.
No, there's heaps of shit on
What do you
here
got?
that-
Pass it to me.
What
Let
do
me
you
have a
like?
look. Let me go through
There's
it.
too much.
He's got Mean Girls down as his favourite.
Yeah, Mean Girls.
Let's see. Robin Williams. Never touched on Robin Williams.
Yeah, his name came up once maybe, but yeah.
Nanu.
The guy's godsend. Like, he can do anything and make anything funny.
Yeah.
He can make reading the phone book funny.
He made Aladdin. Like, that movie would not have been the success it was without the genie.
That's why I'm nervous about the live action one with Will Smith as the genie.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat. Oh, man, when that movie came out, that was just...
That was great because I was in the know about this guy because, you know, you'd seen Ali G.
Ali
and
G,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But 90% of the cinema wasn't in the know. So half of the fucking great thing about going to the cinema to see that movie was watching everybody else's fucking reaction, trying to work out if this guy was for real. Like, and the way that, like, the people in the movie were, like, had no fucking idea
That scene where he's at the rodeo.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
So tense.
Yeah, that was just like, and he's like, "You American pigs." But did you ever see that Ali G clip with him and Buzz Aldrin?
Oh, I think so.
And he's like interviewing Buzz Aldrin, and again in the scenario where obviously Buzz Aldrin
Has
thinks
no
that he's
idea.
and he's like, goes, "Buzz, I'd like to ask you a question. It's been burning, and lots of people have asked it, but I need to know the truth. Does the moon exist?" He goes, "I don't think the question was whether we landed on the moon, Ali, not like whether the moon exists." That's quite factual. And what did you think of Michael Jackson stealing the moonwalk? Well, I don't think it's really how we walked on the moon. I'd say, just YouTube it. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin and Ali G. It's like...
So good.
You got a lot of good stuff on here. You've got Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, man, I fucking love Ricky. Like, he's gold. And The Office, man, like, fuck, the first time I watched The Office series, that was just insanely dry and dark and fucking hilarious all at once. Because I've worked in that kind of corporate world as well.
Do you like the American version?
No, I've never been able to cotton onto it. I think just
hand
for
you
my
this
love
back to
of
you.
that original series, you know. Yeah.
I
What
like
about
The
you?
Office.
Do you like the?
Yeah, I do like The Office. Have you seen Extras?
I fucking love Extras.
Yeah, that's good too,
God,
so.
I love that Yeah, I love that show. Yeah.
Because the American has Steve Carell, and I do like Anchorman, and we do talk about movies that I might switch on every now and then. The original Anchorman it's pretty good. You know, Brick. I think I just watch it for Brick. I just think I ate a big fat candle. Like, because we had this massive fight. I pulled out a trident and stabbed a guy. Yeah, well, you should really lay low on that one for a little while.
Probably wanted for murder.
Yeah.
I want to go back and give the American Office a go. I think I've got to walk in there with a clean slate of, like, it's not a remake of the British.
It's hard to do though. It's hard to go into a movie with a clean slate if you have formed your opinion, and you guys would form opinions very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, And
I
I
had
like
that with Parks and I think it's the format of that type of show. Like when I first watched Parks and Rec, I hated the way that it was set up, like The Office, where it's kind of like a documentary interviewing thing and very hammed up comedy, kind of to the camera kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I got a season into it and I was fucking in love with the show. Like,
what do you guys think? I wanted to ask you. This is one of the things. What do you think of the Kevin Smith movies?
I love Kevin Smith. We did a Kevin Smith episode like 3 weeks ago, didn't we?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because like obviously, I mean, me and my wife just love Kevin Smith movies, so we do watch them a lot. You know.
I thought you were going to say yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
I was going to say,
and this is Doug's first and last appearance on the show.
No. We've got the Degrassi High where they go on that episode. Have you seen that one? Jay and Silent Bob do Degrassi High.
What? No.
Yeah, there's an episode of Degrassi High where they like remake it because you know how they love Degrassi High throughout the movies.
Yeah.
So they remade a Degrassi High movie with them in it. So.
Fuck.
Yeah, so it's good, but I think Chasing Amy is probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
Out of them, I think I do like that one, but Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is another go-to movie.
Yeah, I was talking about that last week. Like me and a buddy of mine, like we would get together and just get on the piss and we know that movie from start to finish. So we would just watch.
I am the clit master.
Just quote the entire movie as we watched it, just like at the top of our lungs too, just sitting side by side, and we've done that numerous times.
Yeah.
And we still do it. Like on Facebook every now and then he'll text me and just be like, got me lunchbox and shit and fucking
I Instagrammed that scene in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck when they're doing the Will Hunting scene.
Oh, Good Will Hunting too. Hunting season.
Yeah, hunting season, bitch.
Applesauce, bitch.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, no. I love those movies. They're so good. But and I think everyone I loved in movies, like from Chris Rock in Dogma, and I think
Chris Rock was great in Dogma. Yeah, I really liked him in that.
I didn't really get into Clerks as much. I don't know if it just didn't grip with me, but it's still a part of the series, and I love it. So, but so it's
probably definitely the hardest watch because it's so
raw,
garagey kind of. Yeah.
So, and like they bring all that like back, like the supermarket and stuff, and in the other movies, and it's just so like I don't know. He just got money coming after that first one. So
the reason they filmed Clerks in black and white is because they filmed it in the actual shop that he worked in the actual Quick Stop, and the camera equipment they had, the fluorescent lighting fucked with the picture when it was recorded, and the only way they could get around that without spending more money on different lighting was to film it in black and white. They're like, fuck it, we'll just film it in black and white then. We've just saved ourselves like $10,000 on lighting. Done. Wow. So that's the whole reason the movie's in black and white.
Morris Day and the motherfucking time. I think Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, I can really recite a lot of
You don't know Jungle Love? That shit is the mad notes.
Smells like someone shitting their cereal. Bong.
Anything else, guys? Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
It sounds like we've got to get together and bring some fucking movies around and do a fucking funny movie night.
Starting with Trainspotting 2.
And then In Bruges.
Yeah. In Bruges, you need to see that.
And then Mean Girls.
He's got that on his list as his favourite movies.
Leave my list alone.
I am who I am. Don't judge me.
All right, Bob, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
Bobby Baxter Cartoons on Instagram and Facebook, and bobbybaxter.com to pick up a physical copy of my comic, or you can read it for free, you cheapskate, on Webtoon if you just search for Brown Fury.
Awesome. Yeah. And Doug, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
I have a Facebook page, obviously, www.facebook.com/Doug Schindler Comedy. Instagram, just me, Doug Schindler. I haven't really hit that one. And I'm bringing up back the Instagram, the Twitter account. So that'll be on there, just at Doug Schindler. So I've got that. So, but Facebook's probably the main one. Check out the gigs. Melbourne Comedy Festival next week. Heads are plenty. Popping up any sort of gigs around Launceston, Hobart, and Melbourne. I generally try and share the love around those venues. So.
Get out and go see him.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
It's been a lot of fun.
And if you want to find the Bearded Geeks online, you can find Bearded Geeks on Facebook, facebook.com/Bearded Geeks Pod. If you want to listen to the show, we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to buy a t-shirt, just fucking go to TeePublic and buy one.
You should speak to Russell. He wants everything on a t-shirt.
He does too.
Cheaper.
He loves his t-shirts. All right, Doug. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
man.
Bringing an extra voice back into the Beard Cave.
Yes, much needed.
Yeah, because it's just us, just like, we're just so analytical about movies and current market trends. And
Maybe I'll research some sci-fis and come back for another episode.
yeah, we'll do
Sounds alright.
we'll do another episode and stuff. Yeah, definitely. You gonna come back?
Oh, definitely, man.
Because we're out like a co-host for like another 6 months. So,
mate, you tell me what night to be around. I'm free on Wednesdays normally.
Hell yeah.
that's good because we normally record Wednesday nights. We'll have to get an episode where we get both you and Russell in. We barely have 2 words to say, Bob.
Yeah, I'll
It'll be the Doug and Russell show.
A little goes a long, long way.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week on the Bearded Geeks. Hey, you're out of here.